Hearts in the chat for people that have music out. So we're starting the live stream a little bit late. This is the 5 ways a mentor can boost your music industry career, in particular, a music mentor. So I'm partway through the conversation. You can see the whole thing on Instagram, but we're only about 5 minutes in. How many people don't have music out yet? Just put a hand in the chat. Put like a high five or put like a thumbs up. How many people don't have music out yet? And if you have music out, put a heart. Just let me know in the comments. Come on, guys. Fill it in so I can know who I'm talking to here today. It helps me to know where you're at. Okay. You know, most artists, as I was saying, the goal is really for your music to reach people, right? And then how do you navigate your way in the industry of music, and what will you partake of? What parts will you partake of, and what parts will you put on the wayside, right? How many of you want to get into the industry itself? That means, licensing music. Put a heart in the chat or in the comments. How many want to be have professional aspirations and want to tour or want to license music or want to have your music in film and TV? So every artist and entrepreneur benefits immensely from working with the expert guidance that a mentor offers. And in particular for musicians, a music mentor, because I see a lot of my artists, and there aren't a lot of music mentors, I would say. I think I see some music industry coaches that are coaching on business. I see very few in real artist development. And then I see vocal coaches, and then I see songwriters, and then I see producers, right? So those are kind of the people that you might be working with. Hi, Kate. Good to see you here. It's a happy day, isn't it? You know what I'm talking about. So, I just let me just kind of detail. I have 5 little points that I want to make. So let me roll through that, and I'll try to tell a couple stories, which helps to sort of understand how this all works. But I think, I went about it first for personal reasons. Then I had professional aspirations. Then I kind of pulled back to personal reasons. And then I went into professional aspirations again. And then always in my life as a vocal coach and someone who's working on the other side of the industry, producing records, working with music careers, being in all of those, big rooms in the, Park Avenue music industry label meetings, and, working with tons of managers and professionals in the industry, managers, radio, promoters, labels, people in publishing. I was on the board of directors at the New York Singing Teachers Association for Voice. I have been a member of the Music Managers Forum, a member of the Association for Independent Music Publishers. I am a voting member of the Grammys. I'm also a mentor. Just recently, I'm a mentor of Grammy U. I was invited to mentor. So I'm mentoring a young artist with the Grammy U Foundation, part of the Grammys. I'm also a mentor with Women in Music, which is a very big organization. So mentorship is really important to me. And it really is about sharing your experience and your expertise from, especially at this point in my career, from 40 years of being on the industry side of the business in New York City. So, when you work with a seasoned mentor, we solve problems very quickly. We can also see where the artist is, whether they have personal or professional aspirations, and what those next steps are very easily and very quickly, in a way that aligns with your goals and what it is that you really want to accomplish. And then the network is pretty wide in terms of my Rolodex, in terms of who I know as far as musicians or producers or managers or booking agents or radio or labels or publishers, just an extensive Rolodex from all of these years in the industry, and being able to match make artists with those people in in the industry. But I don't hold my shingle out. I don't hold my flag out and saying, "Oh, I've gotten all these people signed," and I have. But if I do that, then I get a lot of people who just want me to make introductions to them, and it isn't exactly how it works, right? So, I can't refer somebody that I don't know to someone, right? I need to know you. I need to be working with you. I need to know that you're reliable, accountable, besides the fact that, and then the other piece is getting your music ready for that particular section of the industry or that person or that level, right? So a lot of what my expertise over the years has really boiled down to as a mentor is I'm going to look at your voice, your songwriting, your production, your music, your sound and direction, your where you are in your career, and I'll see what steps are missing that need to be filled in, what needs to be improved, so that we can get the quality of the record, of the voice, of the songs. We can get the not only just the quality, but also that it's in the right lane, that it's really speaking from your soul and has its own individual stamp on it. And then depending on what your goals are, introduce you to the right people in the industry that then can help you. But a lot of times I have to get that artist ready for that level. For instance, I worked with a girl in Australia who was going to Berklee College of Music, and I think she was in her third year or second year or something like that. And she had also worked as a professional actress. And she was an accomplished guitar player, and she had started producing her own stuff. So she'd written quite a lot. And she came and worked with us at the label, and we wrote a series of songs together. And we had that catalog. So we had maybe a catalog of 15 songs, some of her own, some that she wrote with us. And because of where she was and her professional aspirations, I was able to introduce her to a key manager that I knew would really like her, because I knew that manager and I knew what that manager was looking for. So I don't really want to waste time, especially with professional aspirations. And then I'll talk about more of a personal aspiration story. But I don't want to, I know what that person is looking for. So I want to align that artist with those correct people at the key moment in their career. Does that make sense? And that's how things actually happen. But if you treat everyone in the music industry as equal or the same, you're going to really be barking up the wrong tree, a person who's not really interested in the type of music that you offer. So music or isn't looking for an artist that is at that place. Same with licensing companies, same with booking agents, but also as for personal aspirations. Like when I made my record, I had kind of given up on the music industry at that point. I was 38, and at that time, that was ancient for the industry. It's all changed now with the independent revolution, indie artist revolution. But at that time, it was kind of, you're kind of the opportunities passing you by, because you used to have to be signed to even make a record. And so I had just gotten into my voice studio and my business and working with artists, and I was very happy. But a producer came along and said, you really need to do an album. You're really talented, and you're not going to be happy unless you do that. And I was like, no, screw you. Like, I don't want to go back in the music business. It almost destroyed me. I hate the industry. I don't want to do it, And then I thought about it for a couple of months, and I was like, you know what? He's right. Personally, I'm never going to be satisfied unless I make that album that I came to make, and fulfilled that all of those years of music lessons and voice lessons and writing songs and pursuing the industry, I needed to make it official for my own self, regardless of what happened. And so he said, take the summer off and just kind of find yourself. And I did. I closed my studio. was making over $250,000 at the time. So it was a risk. I took a risk, but I knew if I didn't do it, that in my later years, I would never be satisfied with the fact that I had not really gone and fulfilled my dream. Right. And so and then I read the book, The Four Agreements, and then I um, started writing music. I heard music, and then the publisher heard my music, publisher of the book, and wanted to do a record. And I got a record deal, and then but within that side of the industry, and which was a different section of the industry. It's not. It was more the sort of new agey, sort of self help, personal empowerment world. And I found the audience there, and was able to put a record out successfully and tour and that kind of thing. And that was right up my alley because I'd read self-help books and spiritual books my whole life. So it was a coming of age in the sense of really that's what my music was made for. And until then, I was trying to fit myself into the boxes of the industry that weren't really right for me, right? Of being a pop star or being this or being that, being what the industry wanted to be me to be instead of being who I was. And if you really think about any of the big artists or famous artists that you can think of, is there one of them who wasn't really an individual? Not really. So every artist who really became a big success and lasted over time, I was talking to a copywriter, and we were talking who writes for music copy, and interviewing him for my Artist Sanctuary membership this month, because we're talking about writing the artist story and bringing the story forward and how important that is to be able to bond with your listeners. And, he said that. He said, can you think of one legend in music that wasn't really true to themselves, didn't stand out, right? And you really can't, right? And it was almost like going more in the direction of their own uniqueness gave them that great success because nobody else was like them, right? And so that's a really important key for you with your own music. And so the 5 areas for me, number 1 is the real practical guidance and advice based on your particular goals. Because music mentors know the industry, they know everybody in the industry, they know how the industry works, they know all the facets of the industry and where you might fit and where you would excel the most, which will save you a ton of time. I mean, I wish I had somebody to tell me that. An experienced mentor prepares you for the climb with practical advice and literally has decades and thousands of hours, working in the industry. So that's number 1. Number 2 is accountability. Artists really need accountability because something amazing happens when you work with a mentor or a coach. You step up, and it happens every single time. Every single time. I think some people, you might use the excuse of money or of time or that kind of thing. Those are generally excuses because in general, we pay for what we want and we pay for what we know we can achieve or for that return on investment. So the problem with being an artist is sometimes you don't believe in yourself enough or you don't have enough proof that you're either overconfident or you're underconfident is usually the problem, right? And so that personal accountability, when you have that person, and Timbaland said it the best. He said, you need to find somebody that believes in you more than you believe in yourself. And that was true for me too. That producer that came along, who happened to be my ex-husband, he's my ex-husband now, husband at the time. But if he hadn't encouraged me to make that record, I wouldn't have. So we need someone to believe in us and give us that encouragement when encouragement is due and it is the right direction for us, or we can just spin our wheels endlessly. Number 3 is a personalized plan, and no college can show you this, right? So I have so many people coming out of, major music universities that come to me because, they're like, I remember one girl in particular, Miranda Glory, who's now a really accomplished songwriter and artist in her own right. But when I first started working with her, I think she was 14 or something, and she was singing at these shows I used to do at the bitter end, and she was working with our team. And then she went away to college. She went to Berkeley and studied songwriting and production. And she came out of Berkeley like a really good songwriter. And she came to me right after she got out and said, "Okay, now what do I do?" Right. And we got her set on the right course. And for her, she's pursuing the artist lane, but also the professional songwriter lane. And she's accomplishing a great deal. But knowing that part of the industry and then what the plan is for that particular career path with inside the industry is important. And colleges don't show you that, right? Or there is no real. You don't just go to trade school and then you know exactly what to do. The industry is more difficult to navigate. So having somebody that understands it and knows what those steps are for that particular goal is really important. Four is moral support and mindset guidance. I feel like a lot of, mentors provide critical and moral support and expert troubleshooting while you traverse that mountain of that climb. And the mindset piece is really important because I know I struggled with that part of it. Um, and then I'm going to open up for questions. So I see a couple questions in the chat, but go ahead and put your questions in the comments. Happy to discuss. But I think the mindset piece is one of the bigger pieces. Like I said, that Timbaland quote of, you need to find somebody who believes in you more than you believe in yourself. We all need that nod. Yeah, you are good enough to do this. Yes, you need to go for it. Because until we really have the experience coming back at us, and I see a lot of artists out there who think they're going in the right direction, but maybe aren't fulfilling the right steps, or maybe their music is good, but it hasn't really hit that sweet spot yet, and they need more guidance with their sound and direction, or they need more help with the next steps and the mindset piece of it, especially when nobody seems to be really listening to your music, or you just feel like you're kind of spinning your wheels, or why isn't this happening. A mentor from the outside can see what's going on and can see where the stumbling blocks are and where the blind spots are, that is very hard to see when you are your product, right? And then the fifth piece is the introductions. So a music mentor, an experienced music mentor, helps you navigate the right introductions at the right key moments in your career. So, for instance, I remember an artist coming to work with me who wanted to get wanted to work with, wanted to get management, and it had opened up for some big artists, and, had some of the experiences on his resume that could warrant that. Managers are also looking for a certain, 50K, 75K as a baseline, because they can't work for free, right? And managers that work for free, that can be a nightmare, and there's reasons for that. It's not always the case. Everything is an individual case. But when I looked at his brand and I looked at his music, he had 5 albums out, and we worked together for about a year, and we had to do some rebranding. And, a lot of it was he needed a new website, but he also needed his music talked about differently. Very common that a lot of artists say, the music was unique and different from anyone else, and those kinds of terms we don't use. We rather describe what the music is, because it may feel unique to you, but we know that you're green when you say that. So besides that, we also had to position and find the unique message and story in his, and I'm doing a whole piece on story branding for artists and artists. We get into the artist archetypes in my Artist Sanctuary membership. If any of this is speaking to you, the Artist Sanctuary membership is where we do this work. And with the discount, it's $49 a month, and you have 3 live events with me. We have a mastermind next tomorrow. We have our mastermind of the month, which is the artist archetype and story branding. And we go deep into how to really develop a story that connects with your audience, that fosters that deeper connection, and lets us know who you are and sort of where you are, what is important to you, so that we can decide if we want to come along on that journey with you. And that piece was really important for this artist that I worked with. And after we redid all the visuals, redid all the copy, we worked on the A&R on the album, we got everything just like sweet. And then he walked right into a management deal. And then we renegotiated that management deal that after about 9 months in, the managers weren't really delivering, right? And so we realized it wasn't the right company, that they were in a growth spurt and he was low on the totem pole. And so found a new company for him to work with. So it's not just like a one and done thing. Like the career is a constant moving experience that needs to be adjusted, right? I see a question here from Kate. What are the next steps for indie artists to get heard during such a tumultuous time in the music industry? No one trusts Spotify or the streaming platforms anymore because of AI. Well, Spotify still exists and still helps the artist to grow, regardless of AI. But yeah, we have to put AI over here. We have to just get it out of our head and realize that it is a tool, and you just keep doing you. You just keep being fabulous in you. I think the thing about getting heard, if you're out there and you are marketing and you're using your hashtags and you understand the basics of marketing and you're doing a good job, then it's one of two things. Either the music is not really speaking enough to people, or the way you're talking about it or presenting it is not magnetizing that person to you. And usually through personal story is where people bond with you the most, right? So I'm actually doing a new product in the beginning of the year called Artist Breakthrough, not the Artist Breakthrough from my label, which is different, but this is going to be, you send me your music, you send me all your platforms and all your pages, and I take a look and I read through your copy and I do a Loom video where I walk through every single page on your website and your platforms, and I give you these key takeaways of what it is that you need to improve and what it is you're missing. Because I feel like, and an analysis of the music and how it's coming across and where are the areas that need improvement or what needs adjustment. Because I think it's very hard to get that bigger picture. So when you talk about getting heard, do you just mean social media? Or what do you mean by that? What does getting heard mean to you? Does it mean playlists? Does it mean social media? What does that mean for you, Kate? Anybody else have a question while we're waiting? Yes, it is all about growth and development. I think I saw something about what problems did you have with the music industry? Oh, that's a good question too. I think for me, and I see this with a lot of people, it's, barking up the wrong tree and also not really knowing who I was, right? So like I auditioned for Pat Benatar's manager. I auditioned to sing backup in Meatloaf's band. It wasn't until I really found who I was that I found my place in the industry. And I never would have known that was possible. Like to get a record deal with a book publishing company that put out a multi-million-dollar New York Times bestseller, that was not what I would have thought of. But as I followed my own instincts more and trusted my instincts, and then made the um, I made the I did all the work necessary. So when I was 38 and I closed my business and I went on my search to find my music, to find my muse, to find, to write music. Like if I wasn't going to write music for the industry and I really was just going to be a musician and a songwriter and a singer, and I was going to make something that I thought that I wanted to make, not dictated by the industry. I had to get the industry out of my head because otherwise I wasn't really getting to the core of who I was. Remember what I said at the beginning of this when I talked about, can you think of one legendary artist who has stood the test of time that wasn't unique? Right? But that uniqueness takes courage. It takes courage to be yourself. It's most people put a veneer between themselves and others and are afraid, don't have enough courage to really just be themselves or identify what is the most unique about you, because it's the things that are often the most vulnerable about us, and we want to hide it. And then we miss the opportunity to be ourselves. We miss the opportunity to really come forward and stand out. I was thinking of Joni Mitchell when I was talking to that copywriter, and it's a good example because, you know, she was really the first to was writing these confessional, very sensitive confessional songs at a time when there were a lot of bands and it was kind of a lot of guys in the marketplace. And she really kind of stood out like a sore thumb. And there she was with her guitar, and she was, you know, inventing all of these open tunings, and she was different. She was just being herself. And one of the funniest things that I ever heard come out of her mouth was when she was talking about, because she was originally an artist, a visual artist, a painter, and she wanted to get her paintings in, showing it at studios, and was struggling with that. And so she also sang. So she said to herself, well, I'll just sing. I need some money, so I'll sing to make money, which is like kind of the opposite of how it is now, right? But there it was, and there her genius was, and it was almost like she had more permission because she didn't hold it so close to the bone. Like she just did it, and she just set out to make money and do it, and she let the chips fall where they may, but she also followed her own instincts and was comfortable with being herself and allowed herself to be herself. So that's the takeaway that I would recommend. What are you resisting? What are you thinking, oh, well, maybe I write sad songs, but who wants to hear sad songs? A cajillion people. There's many records that have been written that are just sad songs, or you have to be where you are as an artist and allow yourself to go further into that, rather than start to position yourself or think, oh, I need to do this for the industry, I need to do that for the industry. And yeah, it's good to have some up-tempo songs on your record, because those are generally going to be the songs that attract, right? So you're doing both, right? But you really want to lead with what makes you unique. Okay, Kate says, getting heard means more than numbers. I want genuine connections. Yes. So genuine connections have to do with sharing your story and who you are more, Kate. And I think also the only place that people really have to meet with you is online. Is that correct? So maybe you want to start thinking about playing live, in your local community, and creating more genuine connections that way. And maybe it's just a meetup in the beginning, of like-minded souls, and there's music and you talk and you chat and you get together. You might want to start thinking about another way besides just social media, or you also create a live stream opportunity for people to come and hang out with you, because it's kind of hard just to build a real fan base with not really playing or meeting with them or playing with them, or you know, providing an opportunity for them to come and hear your music and sit with you and chat with you and all of that, right? Um, Live stream is the way people are doing it online, either on Twitch or on YouTube. There's advantages to both. You might want to start on YouTube, it might be simpler, but you have to give people an opportunity to come and hang out with you and not just be promoting on social posts. I hope that that helps. Well, thanks for joining me today. And for those of you that are interested in more support as an artist and interested in real music mentorship, join the Artist Sanctuary monthly membership for under $50 a month. You meet with me 3 times a month. We have an hour-and-a-half mastermind with a subject, a really good topic that I do a full slide deck on and presentation, and then we have a coaching call, and then we either have a sounding board every other month or a special industry guest event. So this month we have let me just give you the curriculum. So the mastermind is tomorrow, and the mastermind is, let me just get the curriculum up so I have the title. The mastermind for November, which is November 7th, tomorrow, is the Artist Archetype Story Brand. Building an artist story that bonds with and builds your audience, attracts listeners, and real business opportunities. Plus, there's a 9-page artist archetype story checklist that walks you through building your story. And then we have a special guest event with a copywriter who specializes in writing artist stories, and he also writes for a lot of big music brands. And the title of that, and that's on November, it's in 2 weeks. And next week we have our coaching call. And the title of that is How to Unlock Your Artist Story and Share It with the World Through Compelling Copywriting and Content Creation, with special guest speaker Paul Koblensky. So if you're looking for more support, come and do that. You've just answered a lot of my questions. I felt speechless just now. Wow, thank you so much. Your singing message helped me out so much. Got to live stream. Yes, beautiful, beautiful. You want to create those opportunities for people to get to know you more and come and hear your music. And I recommend a combination of both. I recommend a live stream, and I recommend like a local event every quarter. We used to do every month, and then that's a little bit too much when you don't have a big enough audience. So, because people do residencies maybe every other month or once a quarter, every 3 months, do a live show in just a small local place when you're building. And then as you build, like I'm coaching a bunch of artists through that process right now, and they're really starting to build. So it takes a little time, but it's exciting. And you can do it how you want it. Maybe you do it in a bookstore. I don't know. Maybe you do it in a yoga studio. Maybe you do it, or try So Far Sounds and Breaking Sounds. Kate, that would be great for you to do So Far Sounds or Breaking Sounds. I hope this helped you. And I hope you come and join me inside Artist Sanctuary membership. It's an incredible opportunity to really get that accountability and take that step up for your career. And I will see you guys. Be sure to hit the notification bell for when I go live every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern. And I will see you guys next Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern. Have an amazingly incredible, creative week. And, just look at, what am I holding back on? What can I be more brave with? Can I have more courage to actually be myself and not worry what other people think? That's the key. Talk to you later. Bye, guys.